Alright, hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel once again, and this is going to be another movie review. So, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the X-Men movies, we are almost at the finish line. So, it's time for one last ride with our band of merry mutants. I'm talking about X-Men Dark Phoenix. As always, I'm not professional movie reviewer or movie analyst, just a man who enjoys a good time, which, admittedly, didn't really have with this one. It's a good sign when both these last two X Men movies, this one and the one we're gonna look at next, and that one's gonna be a bit of a doozy. It's always a good sign when both of them are box office bombs. But nevertheless, for those of you who have seen these reviews before, you kind of know how this works. Those of you who haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and what I disliked about the movie. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So, starting with what I liked, pretty much carrying over everybody from the last time to this time. That being, of course, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Storm, Mystique. He got Professor Xavier, Beast, and Jean Grey, who takes the center stage here in this movie. And as the title suggests, yes, they are redoing the Phoenix Saga, their interpretation of the Phoenix Saga. Last time we saw anything related to the Phoenix Saga in the X-Men movies was all the way back in X-Men The Last Stand. If you haven't already, go check out that review. So they're attempting a take two of the Phoenix Saga. And so Jean Grey gets a central piece here in this movie. And how she do as the centerpiece, it's kind of hit and miss, but it is nice to see that for the most part they are putting over the Phoenix Force in a very big way, and we kind of will be comparing and contrasting how this movie fared with The Last Stand as opposed, and in terms of how they interpret the Phoenix Saga. Both of them so far kind of showing in a major way where it's a large entity. This time around, it's closer to the comic origins, where it's a cosmic being that enters into Jean Grey, and pretty much similar to like the symbiote that attaches itself to Spider-Man. Whereas in the original Last Stand movie, in the original X-Men trilogy, it was more of like an internal thing with Jean Grey. So here it's a bit more external, but also combining with Jean Grey's internal strife. And they carried over from The Last Stand, Professor Xavier, or blocking out certain parts of Jean Grey's memory. Her accidentally killing one of her parents, and then her dad gives her over to Professor Xavier. So they kind of carry that over, and seeing Jean Grey's actions have consequences, seeing how powerful she is, and seeing that, including them having the Gauchos to kill off Mystique. Yeah, Mystique is killed by Jean Grey. Hey, as the X-Men try to get her to come back with them, she kills Mystique. He does Jean Grey, and she goes on the run from there. We see the romance blossoming between her and Cyclops in this movie, and seeing the strife and inner turmoil that they're going through. And they're kind of doing similar to the whole Professor Xavier is kind of a jerk her thing, and they kind of introduced it in the original X-Men movie, or I should say Last Stand. And when I kind of say like the original X-Men trilogy, I'm referring to The Last Stand because that's the other one that has the ties with the Phoenix Saga. But they introduced that kind of in The Last Stand, but they didn't really explore it. But here they kind of explored a little bit more. They kind of expound on that, with Professor Xavier feeling like he's trying to protect Jean Grey, because she is seen as like vulnerable, and or at least to him, she's vulnerable and powerful, but also can be dangerous. So he feels like he's protecting her, and so he blocked off certain parts of her memories, including her killing her. Or she believes that her dad is dead, but as it turns out, he is not. she goes to visit him after she leaves the X Mansion and everything. So, then after she kills Mystique, Magneto shows back up because of course we got to get him in there, and then they have another fight. Like pretty much all like the prequel movies have Magneto and Charles Xavier going after each other, which does feed the narrative, obviously, of why Magneto and Professor Xavier are friends turned enemies. But it feels like they kind of do the whole, they fight, then they make up, then they fight, then they make up, kind of like that back and forward. And it does get a little annoying at times, but they're consistent because Magneto obviously had feelings for Mystique, and it's also what causes this Beast to flee the X Mansion and go with Magneto and his mutants, hence to try and kill Jean Grey because of what she did. It ultimately they're all captured. Jean Grey he releases the Phoenix energy and seemingly sacrifices herself, but is kept alive by the Phoenix, as we see post credits. It's or not post credits, but at the end of the credits there. And actually there isn't a post credit scene for this movie, but she's kept alive by the Phoenix Force. So I know I'm kind of all over the place here, but yeah, kind of trying to explain kind of the plot and kind of why I say it's hit or miss. So there's those aspects with Magneto kind of forgiving Jean Grey after a short speech from Professor Xavier, and we kind of see Professor Xavier has a certain way of getting to people, and they kind of also play into the whole Professor Xavier is a jerk thing because we see all the famous success that the X-Men are getting, and as Professor Xavier fights for the rights of mutant kind, and we see it's her to go to his head a little bit, and they kind of touch on it, but they don't fully commit to it. And you'll see that quite a bit when it comes to this movies, where they'll introduce something, but they don't fully commit, and it comes to the movie's detriment. And I know I'm kind of going into what I dislike about the movie as well, but I feel like it kind of does need to be brought up as well. But otherwise, as the effects are fine, the actors are fine as well, I guess. But yeah. So. Them taking another shot at the Phoenix Saga and trying to build it up in this big way, kind of showing the inner turmoil of Jean and sort of her inner strife, coming to terms with her past and everything Professor Xavier tried to keep from her and ultimately leads in her quote unquote sacrificing for the rest of the X-Men and for the rest of the world, as the school is renamed the Jean Grey School instead of Professor Xavier School, as Xavier retires. Beast takes over her as the head of the school, and Professor Xavier at the end is playing chess with Magneto. Because and obviously that's a running theme throughout the series, is they both love chess, they both love playing chess. We saw it in the original X-Men movies, we saw it in the prequels as well. Also, kind of keeping that thread going. So, some stuff they keep going, which I guess is nice for consistency. But otherwise, yeah. So, there's that. But as I've kind of alluded to, I guess it's time to get into what I disliked. Is that things feel kind of half baked at times, and especially with who the true main antagonists are, which are the Debari Empire, which is an alien race who were wiped out by the Phoenix Force. They come down. They're pretty much supposed to be like Skrulls, where they take over the bodies of people and disguise themselves as those people. They shapeshift, all that. And they try to essentially harness the power of the Phoenix Force for themselves, and they end up being wiped out with the leader. Her name is Vuk. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't think she was ever referred to by name in the movie. If she was, I totally missed it. But her trying to harness the power and try to get it, trying to kill Jean Grey and pretty much the rest of humanity as they harness the Phoenix Force, and And sadly, with the way these characters are set up, you almost don't give a fuck about these characters. The thing is, it feels like they wanted Jean Grey. They wanted like the Phoenix entity to be like the main antagonist of the movie. They wanted it to be the main focus of the movie, which for the most part it was, as they wanted Jean Grey to kind of fill that main antagonist role in the movie as she's dealing with the Phoenix Force, but they didn't want to fully commit to it. Like they still wanted to shove the Dabari, which they are an entity in the comics, obviously, but they still wanted to. They essentially wanted to have their cake and eat it as well. I think with The Last Stand, and I think this is probably why I give The Last Stand a little bit of edge over Dark Phoenix here, is that with that one, the Phoenix Force was a bit hit more, or like it took a bit more of the center stage. She still teamed up with like the Evil Brotherhood of Mutants and stuff like that, but it still took like the center stage. It still was like the main antagonist. They presented it as the main antagonist. And even with like the involvement of Magneto and Mystique and the other mutants and stuff like that, they presented it as the main antagonist, and they went for it. They went full force with it. They didn't try to hold back. They didn't try to scale back to try to fit these other antagonists in there. They went for it. And I think with this one, they essentially wanted two main antagonists, but didn't know how to present two main antagonists. There is a way that you can present two main antagonists and have them feel like, and have one feel just as important as the other. And this movie sadly didn't really do that. The Dabari weren't really that interesting as villains. Like if they had kept them to like a minimum, or perhaps even cut them from the movie entirely and just have it focused on the Phoenix entity, I think the movie would have paid off more for that. And of course they're doing the whole wishy-washy, there's conflict with Professor Xavier and Mystique and Magneto. Again, that's the common thread, is that they sometimes come into contact with, or come into conflict, I should say, with Professor Xavier and some of his ideologies. They don't agree with all of them, and this time around it's Mystique feeling like the team is constantly in danger, and it definitely happens with Mystique being killed and Jean Grey being exposed to the Phoenix Force. Or they kind of do that, but they kind of done that all the time, to the point where it feels kind of repetitive. There's a way, again, similar to the dual antagonist, there's a way to do a running theme and have it feel fresh and have it make sense, if you get what I'm getting at. But this movie sadly didn't really do it like that. Like it could have been done better. You had kind of antagonists who weren't really that interesting, and then you had kind of that conflict that was kind of uninteresting, and the fact that a lot of the other X-Men kind of take a back seat to this conflict. The main conflict is with Jean Grey and maybe with Cyclops and Professor Xavier, but the rest, as with the exception kind of like Beast and Mystique, the rest kind of feel like an afterthought, admittedly. Obviously Nightcrawler and Storm get their things to do, but otherwise they do kind of feel like an afterthought, which is unfortunate. They could have been done a lot better throughout the course of this movie. And this movie, I think this movie is a case of a lot of like missed potential. There are things there that I think could have worked, but they didn't really. Some things that they could have cut that they should, and some things I wish they would have went a little further with, but they didn't really. But I think that's going to do it for this review. So we are almost done, and we have one more movie left, and I'm already not looking forward to it, because the next movie we have to look at is The New Mutants. Yeah. The movie that grossed the lowest, if I'm not mistaken, out of all the X-Men movies. Can't wait. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the movie or my review. Did you like to dislike the movie? Did you like to dislike my review of the movie? Let me know. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.